Hello everyone. For this week's midweek meditation, I've brought a children's storybook called Little Beaver and the Echo. It was written by Amy MacDonald and illustrated by Sarah Fox Davies. This is a book that I used to read to my son when he was little, and I hope you like it. It seems like a good story for our times. Little Beaver lived all alone by the edge of a big pond. He didn't have any brothers. He didn't have any sisters. Worst of all, he didn't have any friends. One day, sitting by the side of the pond, he began to cry. He cried out loud. Then he cried out louder. Suddenly he heard something very strange. On the other side of the pond, someone else was crying too. Little Beaver stopped crying and listened. The other crying stopped. Little Beaver was all alone again. "Boo-hoo," he said. "Boo-hoo," said the voice from across the pond. "Ha-ha-wah," said Little Beaver. "Ha-ha-wah," said the voice from across the pond. Little Beaver stopped crying. "Hello," he called. "Hello," said the voice from across the pond. "Why are you crying?" asked Little Beaver. "Why are you crying?" asked the voice from across the pond. Little Beaver thought a moment. "I'm lonely," he said. "I need a friend." "I'm lonely," said the voice from across the pond. "I need a friend." Little Beaver couldn't believe it. On the other side of the pond lived somebody else who was sad and needed a friend. He got right into his boat and set off to find him. It was a big pond. He paddled and paddled. Then he saw a young duck swimming in circles all by himself. "I'm looking for someone who needs a friend," said Little Beaver. "Was it you who was crying?" "I do need a friend," said the duck, "but it wasn't me who was crying." "I'll be your friend," said Little Beaver. "Come with me." So the duck jumped into the boat. They paddled and paddled. Then they saw a young otter sliding up and down the bank all by himself. "We're looking for someone who needs a friend," said Little Beaver. "Was it you who was crying?" "I do need a friend," said the otter, "but it wasn't me who was crying." "We'll be your friends," said Little Beaver and the duck. "Come with us." So the otter jumped into the boat. They paddled and paddled. Then they saw a young turtle sunning himself all alone on a rock. "We're looking for someone who needs a friend," said Little Beaver. "Was it you who was crying?" "I do need a friend," said the turtle, "but it wasn't me who was crying." "We'll be your friends," said Little Beaver and the duck and the otter. "Come with us." So the turtle jumped into the boat, and they paddled and paddled until they came to the end of the pond. Here lived a wise old beaver in a mud house all alone. Little Beaver told him how they had paddled all around the pond to find out who was crying. "It wasn't the duck," he said. "It wasn't the otter, and it wasn't the turtle. Who was it?" It was the echo, said the wise old beaver. Where does he live? Asked little Beaver. On the other side of the pond, said the wise old beaver. No matter where you are, the echo is always across the pond from you. Why is he crying? Said little Beaver. When you are sad, the echo is sad, said the wise old beaver. When you are happy, the echo is happy too. But how can I find him and be his friend? Asked little Beaver. He doesn't have any friends, and neither do I. Except for me, said the duck. And me, said the otter. And me, said the turtle. Little Beaver looked surprised. Yes, he said. I have lots of friends now. And he was so happy that he said it again, very loudly. I have lots of friends now. From across the pond, a voice answered him. I have lots of friends now. You see, said the wise old beaver, when you're happy, the echo is happy. When you have friends, he has friends too. Hooray! Shouted little Beaver, and the duck, and the otter, and the turtle all together. And the echo shouted back to them, Hooray! Little Beaver and the echo. I've wanted to read that story to our children for some time now. You know, in the church with the children gathered around and me in the rocking chair and the pictures displayed on the screens so that everyone could see. But that time didn't come, and this time feels like the right time for that particular story because so many of us are alone and so many of us are lonely in these times when we are not allowed to socialize, at least within physical proximity of each other. I think of that little beaver creating his community without even knowing he was doing it, actually. Of course, in his case, all the different creatures jumped into the boat with him, and we can't do that. We can't all jump into the same boat, even though it may feel as though we are all in the same boat anyway, in a metaphorical kind of way of thinking about it. We can't do that. But there may be ways that we can cheer that echo up, that echo on the other side of the pond that reflects whatever it is that we put out there. There may be ways that we can bring happiness and hope to others, and while we do that, we may find that our circle of friends has grown in the process. Seems to me that people are finding many ways, many creative ways to get together. A lot of times it involves being online, as we are right now, as you are watching this, and but it doesn't have to be online. It doesn't have to be a Zoom conversation. It doesn't have to be watching a video. It can be as simple as writing a letter, or even being outside in the yard, maybe sitting and reading a book or playing a musical instrument and just greeting people as they come by. In a situation like that, we would all be at a safe distance, it seems to me. I think it's important for us to find our ways, all of us, to reach out the ways that we can. I know in my case, many people have written me letters in the last 3 weeks or so. Just not long letters, but just little cards to say hello. And that's meant really a lot to me. Perhaps there are people that you can write letters to as well. I know I have a list of people also to reach out to in that way. What a ray of sunshine a letter can be, just a simple letter, even a card with 2 sentences scribbled on the inside can mean a lot. I encourage all of us to find those ways that we can reach out, because I think that by doing so, we will lift our own spirits in the process. Those of us who are lonely maybe will feel less lonely as they take a pen in their hand and write a little note to somebody or make a phone call. Those of us who are afraid might feel a little less afraid if we have somebody to talk to on the other end of the telephone line. Those of us who are grieving might feel a little bit of that grief lifted up in the same way if we reach out to others and take some moments to listen to them and how things are in their world. So that's my midweek meditation, really a thought about how we can reach out to one another, and also a question to all of you to ask you what creative ways you might have to reach out to others in these difficult times. That's my meditation for now. I love you all. Be well, and I will be back. Bye for now.